Hello, everybody, and welcome to Toilets and Titles Monday Night Football Preview. As you can see, you're looking at two Giants fans here. The plan tonight was to also have at least one of our Cowboy fans here from Toilets and Titles, and that's either Coach or Andrew Campy down in Australia, which is unlikely because he's going to work right now anyway, and then or Chuck Steele. Chuck Steele may be joining us shortly. I know he's stuck in traffic, so we're hoping to get him in here, but we wanted to preview the upcoming game. It's a big game for both teams, even though it's early in the season. And Cowboys fans, rest assured, we're not here to dump on your team. We're going to be very objective. We're not. Joe and I were just talking about this before we went live. We root for our teams, but we don't pull the homer crap. So anyway, Joe, how's it going, my friend?
Listen, I'm just feeling thankful to have a Week 3 New York Giant game that feels relevant. It happens to be a division, a Monday night, the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I feel like I'm 16 again watching with my dad in the late 90s. And, you know, when every game meant something, because, well, maybe not late 90s, but you know what I mean, when they were good. So this is great. I'm already so juiced for this game. I can't wait.
Same, man. Hey, last time we talked, you and I talked, we previewed the Giants. I think we talked about all their moves since January and kind of looked ahead to this upcoming season. And at that time, all teams were 0-0. They were 0-0. Our team, the Giants, were now 2-0. And hey, listen, it's not exactly 2 wins against the best teams in the NFL or whatever. But you know what? It is 2 wins, and we haven't started off 2-0 since 2016. And it's been a long 10 years, man. So it feels like, for me, it feels like Christmas came early. Like what you were referring to before, like kind of like usually at this point, even like if we're 0-2, I kind of have one eye looking at next year's draft.
Yeah. And you know what, too, schedule-wise, like I think by the end of the year, I was almost kind of, this is so weird, but I was kind of happy that the Titans won yesterday because it made me feel better about that Giant win Week 1 in Tennessee.
Right.
You know, strength of schedule-wise, it's not college, but you still think about it a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It means something. I don't think Tennessee, even coming into the season, I didn't think Tennessee was the Tennessee that they've been for the past few years. But they are a really well-coached team. This is a team that's been in the playoffs like 4 out of the past 5 years, something like that. I think made it to like 1 or 2 AFC championship games, I believe. And they're just a tough, very tough, well-coached team.
Yeah.
So to get that win on the road, that was big, man. That was really, really big. And then, you know, Carolina, the second game, I saw it as like us kind of like 2 evenly matched teams, to be honest with you. And, you know, we got the win there. And the key thing is, and neither of these games are pretty, Joe, but the key thing is that in seasons past, those are games that we'd be 0-2. We would have found a way to lose instead of finding a way to win.
That's a great way to say it. It's a great point. And right now, that's probably like the quote of the season 2 weeks in for the Giants. These games, these late fourth quarter scenarios where it's been penalties and turnovers and bad play calling and missed field goals and everything in between that has cost them so many close games over the years. We've watched them win 2 of those right off the bat here, which is really refreshing to see. And it's a mentality. They're playing with a different mentality. And I think that mentality even changes again tonight because we have got, for the first time this season, not only the number 5 overall pick, but also Ojulari too. So we've got the Giants are 2-0 without their best 2 pass rushers. So you know, hoping that
pass rushers in theory, at least in theory, you know, because you know Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau, I'm excited about him. I love that pick at number 5. No complaints at all. My only point being is that we haven't seen him on the field. And also, look, he's a rookie. So how much are we going to expect? You know, so I mean, I want to see great things, but me, myself, I'm also keeping my expectations a little tempered there just because it's his first game. I'm not even sure how much he's going to play. I assume they're going to play him, you know, like as much as they want to if they're letting him go out there, I assume. And the same thing with Ojulari. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay anything. I am really excited. And you know, I guess let's touch on the Cowboys too. This is a team that's 1-1, and it looks like this is a team that's also, they have some key injuries too. The Giants, they got the 2 big pass rushers back, but they are missing Leonard Williams, who this is the first game I think he's missed in his career, whether it's NFL or college, I believe. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They're also missing their cornerback two, Aaron Robinson, who this is the first year he's ever played. It's the second year in the NFL. It's only the first year, though, he's ever played outside corner. He's always been a slot guy in college, and including last year. So, I mean, we really got to see him develop this year, but still, the fact that he's gone, that eats into your depth. So I'm a little concerned about that. But on offense, knock on wood, I mean, I don't know if Galladay's going to be out there. I know Tony's out, but we haven't really been able to.
And the rookie.
And the rookie, but we haven't been able to count on those guys yet anyway. Yeah. So,
real quick, an injury update on the Cowboys side, because it just finally officially came in, even though I feel like we kind of knew this, but tight end Dalton Schultz is out tonight.
Out. I
Ferguson, I don't remember if it's Jay Ferguson or what his first name is, something Ferguson.
Yeah, Jake Ferguson.
Yes. He, and he did play like half the snaps last week, didn't get any targets, but he is their starter tonight. So that's an injury on their end.
Yep, and Dallas likes to use their tight ends. So even though he's a rookie, I wouldn't be surprised if you see targets going his way, just because the Dallas offense, whether it was the previous regime or this one, they've always made use of their tight ends.
Yeah, I believe they're getting Michael Gallup back for his seson debut tonight too, as far as the wide receiver.
I believe he's back too. I believe so. So they're looking like, I mean, Dallas has a share of injuries too. Obviously, they're missing Dak. That's hurt. Their left tackle went down in the preseason, but Dak went down game one. He's out for a few weeks. Gallup is coming back. All right, Schultz, who's normally a big part of their offense, is out. On defense, I'm not aware of any key injuries on their defense. But man, that defense is looking real, and that defense is keeping them in right now until Dak gets back. Because I mean, they let up 19 points for the first week against Tampa Bay, and then they let up 21 points last week, I believe, against the Bengals.
Yeah, and that's a good win.
That's a good win. And they got the win again, and they got the good win against the Bengals. So those are two really good teams, two playoff teams from last year. With the Bengals going to the Super Bowl, obviously, two playoff teams from last year that they held to like 21 points or less, and they got one of those wins. So so kudos to them. So that defense is looking really dangerous, man.
I was almost, this is funny to say, but Micah Parsons, or Michael Parsons, he sent out a tweet about being sick. I think he sent out a meme of Michael Jordan on the bench in that Utah finals game where he was famously throwing up like all game long. And they just confirmed that Parsons is going to play, but that almost scared me, because when you got a dog like that, defensive MVP candidate each and every year, pretty much. And he's sick, it would be, from a Giants perspective, if he didn't play, that would kind of be nice. But now that you got a sick dog, that's when they're most dangerous. So I know that he's going to come out, try to set a tone, try to get to Daniel Jones, try to force some mistakes, fumbles, whatever it may be. I mean, this is a big game. Jerry Jones makes those post-game comments each week that really put the Cowboys in a position where every week's a big game for them, because the expectations are so high. But for all the reasons we've already talked about, you got the Eagles looking really, really good in the NFC East. The the Commanders. Sorry about that. The Commanders.
I do that too.
Yeah, right. Aren't horrible. They're scoring points and they're playing, relevant games so far. And now you got the Giants and Cowboys at 1-1 and 2-0. Like, this is a legit week 3 division. This is an important game. Will it look important in week 18? It may not, but it may. It really might.
That's what I love about the NFL, is that every game really does count. It might not seem like it, like you're just pointing out. It might not seem like it right now, but somewhere down the road, if you're a team that's going to contend or be in the playoff conversation later on in the year, these games count. Every single damn game counts. Even a tie counts sometimes. Right. Like we saw, I think the Colts had a tie earlier this year, but ties have counted before, but they've been the tiebreaker. A team going to or missing the playoffs.
It's better than a loss.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, the division, man, right now is you look at the Eagles. Holy cow! The Eagles they're looking like up there with the Bills and the Dolphins as the 3 hottest teams. And you can never sleep on the Chiefs as well, even though they just lost this weekend to the Colts. But the Eagles are looking like the real deal. Hurts is coming along. Jalen Hurts is coming along really, really well. He's looking like an absolute machine. So they're looking darn scary. But for this matchup right here, you mentioned obviously you were talking about Micah Parsons before. And I'll tell you, man. I mean, obviously, we're Giants fans. I have no problem actually putting Micah Parsons right now already in the Lawrence Taylor,
Yeah.
Ray Lewis conversation. I think he's that good. Me myself, like I've never really been like a fan of my team who's been like worried about other teams' players. Like, and that's no knock against other players. Like I know there are other great players, and you have to account for these other great players. But I think Micah Parsons, off the top of my head, is the one player that I can think of in a very, very, very long time where I've been like, holy cow, this guy, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to limit this guy or to, slow him down, however you want to put it? He is like, I'm afraid he's gonna absolutely tear up. I mean, he can come at, left side, right side. I'm most worried that he's just gonna tear it up from the inside, come barreling through the interior of our offensive line.
He's a disruptor. He really
Oh
is.
my
And it's
God.
like we have to disrupt his disrupting, whether it's like those little chip blocks, whatever it is. Yeah, we got to keep him.
Throw some ball bearings out there in the field.
Yeah. I have as a Giants fan, like I have this vision in my head tonight that in a big spot of the game, we're going to see a Leonard Marshall, Joe Montana, sack fumble from Parsons.
Right.
And, and as much as for whatever reason, I do like Daniel Jones, but we do know that he's had ball security issues in the past. So that does scare me tonight.
And not the best not the best pocket awareness.
And not the best pocket awareness. And not the best offensive line, even though it's improving.
Yeah, no, that's true. But he's got to he does have to, the pocket awareness has always been a weakness of his. And I admire his guts to stay in the pocket looking for shots downfield, but it can be a detriment as well. And against this defense, man, they better be getting rid of that ball pretty quick. But that's a problem too, because the Cowboys defense is sound at every single level, whether it's the line. I'm not sure about the run defense, like the interior of the line. That I just don't know. But they've got DeMarcus Lawrence obviously at defensive end. Then you got your linebackers who are fast, and that's not including Micah Parsons, who's an absolute monster. You can move all over the place, and then you got a good secondary as well. Yeah. So it's gonna be tough, man. I mean, I think the main thing for the Giants is to definitely limit the mistakes. And me myself, I want to see. I'm not really expecting this week because I do expect the Dallas Cowboys defense to be extremely tough. But I'd say week 4 for the Giants, I really want to see this offense take a big step forward and being like a real consistent offense and putting up more points. And Joe, did you know that this was the 6th game in a row that the Giants have not scored a touchdown in the first half? The 6th game in a row. And I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if we see that for the 7th game in a row, unfortunately. But by next week, I do want to see this offense, just start really getting better and better and better, and putting up some points in the first half, being more explosive. I think it's there, and with the offensive line getting better too.
Yeah, thank God for Graham Gano.
That's sure.
Right, because they're. I feel like they're picking up yardage. It's kind of like watching Denver. My God, I've never seen a team get more yards in between the 20s and then just have not a freaking clue what to do in the red zone. And you have Russ Wilson, and they still can't figure it out. The Giants, I feel like, have had that same problem for years in a row now. I kind of liken it to, I'm a Yankee fan. They're horrible. Their batting average with runners in scoring position is dreadful. I liken it to the same thing. Like in the red zone, it's just field goal after field goal after field goal. And, even tonight, because we're facing Cooper Rush, and I'd love to get your thoughts on how you feel about Cooper Rush in general, being the backup, but winning some games. It could end up being a field goal type game. I was looking, the Cowboy kicker Maurer, he had double-digit points last week and 3 or 4 made field goals. We know that Gano gets a lot of opportunities. To your point, a 19-17 game where you're looking at 6-7 field goals between these two teams, that wouldn't shock me at all tonight.
Hey man, I don't mind 19-17 as long as we come out on the winning side of that. But Cooper Rush, I was going to ask you because honestly, I don't know about anything about Cooper Rush. All I know is I've seen, I think it was Jerry Jones, talking very highly of him, and then also Wink Martindale, the Giants' defensive coordinator, spoke very highly of him recently too. So I just don't know anything about the guy. All I know is that he's all I can tell is that, last week, I'm not counting game one against the Buccaneers because he had to come in like halfway into the game. but he did a good job last week, obviously, and now he's in the win against the Bengals, and he also led them back. He led them downfield at the very end of the game to get the game-winning field goal. So that says some good things about him. I didn't dive into the details on Cooper Rush, but he is getting Gallup back. His running backs are healthy, even though Zeke hasn't been Zeke that we're used to, at least so far. He's got his full complement of weapons, except for Schultz. But you look at listen, I think losing Amari Cooper was a huge hit because they didn't have that proven wide receiver one, and CeeDee Lamb hasn't shown to be that. He hasn't grabbed those reins yet. If he does, we'll see. I'm unsure. I was always kind of unsure as to whether or not he'd have that. You got to prove it, in my opinion. It wasn't someone I was writing in stone to be the wide receiver one. But CeeDee Lamb is a weapon. He is a good player. Don't get me wrong.
Well, that's a change. It's an adjustment for Lamb with no Cooper too, right?
Yeah,
because that changes the cornerback that he's getting matched up with, especially from a size perspective. Because Cooper was so big, you had to match that defensively. So Cooper Rush, he seems like a game manager. He won their start last year when he played Minnesota when Dak was out. He went 19 for 31 last week, 200 and some change, no interceptions, right? So again, good game manager, not making mistakes. The thing with CeeDee Lamb and him too that I guess encourages me from a Cowboy perspective is Lamb still Lamb's gotten 11 targets both weeks this week so far this year, both week 1 and 2. But week 1, and week 1 he only went 2 for 29. Now, given that was Tampa, which is a better defense than Cincy, and then he went 775 last week against Cincy. So Rush feels comfortable with him, but I do wonder, I feel like every quarterback, especially when you're not one of the greats, they all have their binky, that security blanket, the underneath guy.
Sterling
Shepard has been that. Barkley when he's really cranking because he can see a lot of targets. I do feel like for the Cowboys, that was Dalton Schultz for both Prescott and for Rush. So I'm going to be interested to see how that impacts them. I'm also assuming that Tony Pollard's probably going to play a little bit more of a role as a receiver out of the backfield to maybe get some of those Schultz targets, because Schultz is like a 7 to 10 target a game guy. He's a high volume for a tight end. So you got to.
I'm sorry, just real quick. I picked Schultz up, I think, on the majority of my fantasy teams. I'm only in 5 leagues. I got him at least in 3 of them.
Yep. I'm with you on that. I agree 100%. He was cheap, from where you were getting him for that type of production.
I purposely let the higher end tight ends go because I don't value it as much. And I'm like, I'm going to take Schultz in the later rounds, and he was there. So
yep, absolutely. I was looking at the Cowboy guys because I am the DFS voice of Toilets to Titles, and I was putting in a couple of the single game contests tonight for this giant Cowboy fan.
You want me to bring up the first one?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Let's bring that up.
So my main concern with the Cowboys was, to our point about Cooper Rush, how does that really impact CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee Lamb's probably the most talented, dangerous offensive weapon on the Cowboy team. And seeing that he was still getting those targets from Rush last week was encouraging. So I actually have CeeDee Lamb in my captain spot, paying the extra money to have him up there. And then I'm rounding that out with Saquon Barkley, obviously for the Giants. The Giants go offensively as Saquon Barkley goes. I think we can all agree to that when he is healthy. It's been so encouraging seeing Barkley have a couple of good, relevant weeks so far. I am going in this lineup. I'm taking Zeke Elliott. I'm doing 2. I'm going to have Pollard in 1, Elliott in the other, because that's kind of the way it is now for that Cowboy running game. Elliott's going to get his carries, his touches, his snaps, but Tony Pollard has carved out a real role.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, that's a coin flip with those 2 guys these days.
That's how many people see it. And you know what? I used to kind of discount it. And Zeke always was getting fed the ball anyway. But this year, with the offensive line not being, for the Cowboys, not being what it traditionally has been. And I don't know. And Zeke not seemingly being, how he's been for the first 5 years of his career, 6 years of his career. Pollard's always been good. And it might be his time now. It might be his time. Let me just bring up this question from DJ Shane. He said, "Hey, what's up, guys? I'm new to these showdowns. I got Pollard as captain, at Lamb, Cooper, Rush, Dallas D,
Yeah.
Barkley."
This is great. This is great. So he's
Go ahead. You take over.
Yeah, he's putting Pollard in the captain position and paying up for him. But he's middle of the road salary wise, so he's able to get Pollard in without that really making it too hard for the rest of his lineup. He's not overly strapped. Now the Ferguson thing's interesting because he's only $200, which you never really ever play a guy that cheap, but it makes sense. And I have Ferguson in my other lineup. You've got 1,500 left. Ferguson's only going to cost you 200 if you're on DraftKings anyways. So that's going to give you another 1,300 to maybe upgrade one of these other positions. The interesting part to this is I actually really like the guys in that lineup. I hate to leave salary on the table, but you're not changing Barkley. I like the Dallas D too, to be completely honest. I certainly don't think they're going to have a horrible game. And I do think that there's a nice opportunity for them to create a couple of turnovers. I guess maybe you have the decision on what quarterback you want to play. Do you feel like Rush is going to have the better game than Daniel Jones? From my perspective, I feel like Rush will probably be the better passer. But the funny thing with Daniel Jones is he sneaks in those rushing yards. He sneaks in a rushing touchdown every once in a while. So you do have to think about that with Jones. And I absolutely think that CeeDee Lamb is by far the best receiver in this game on either team. So I actually really like this lineup. If you're going to make a change, the other thing too is you could always put Pollard back to a flex and then upgrade that captain spot. Because again, if you put Ferguson in, you're looking at an extra 1,300. So definitely a couple options, but I like this lineup as a whole. I believe Lamb's the most productive Cowboy offensive player. Barkley's the most productive Giant offensive player. So I think he's looked at this the right way. The rounding out the lineup that I was playing, I've got CeeDee Lamb, that I was saying, in the captain spot with Barkley. I got Zeke Elliott also. I've got the Cowboy defense. Defenses are always a little cheaper. I do think the Cowboys will unfortunately force a couple of turnovers tonight. I've got Graham Gano for the Giants. He went for 17 last week. And then I also went Richie James Jr. for the Giants. Let's real quick talk about these Giant wide receivers, because it's not just Sterling Shepard. And I mean, Galladay's doing nothing, but take it over, because we've got guys like James and now the other guy, and I'm forgetting his name right off the bat, that's playing. But what do you think?
What the wide receivers are talking about?
Yeah, Sills and James. It's funny to me the way those guys have taken up some targets.
Sills, James, Sterling Shepard. I'm not sure what other receivers have been declared active. Like, is Darius Slayton? Is he active? Question. I assume Galladay is active, but is he going to play? You know what? DJ also had a follow-up question before we get into the Giants receivers. Any suggestions on upgrade if I get Ferguson tough spot?
So he's saying that he's got this extra 1,300 playing Ferguson and he doesn't know what to do with it. And I completely understand that. I understand what he's saying. I don't know if we're dealing with a Giant fan, Cowboy fan, what we're doing, but I would, I don't know. I'm liking that line. I wouldn't touch Barkley. I wouldn't touch Lamb. So, Cooper Rush, salary wise, there's not too many guys ahead of him that's not already in his lineup. So to be honest, if anything, he would replace and probably even end up saving more money. So I'm not sure I would touch much. I think I feel pretty good about that. I think the only thing he could really do is take Pollard out of the captain spot, move him to flex. And can he afford to put Barkley or Lamb in the captain spot? Because now that, I think, would make sense. If you can keep those guys but have Lamb or Barkley in that 1.5 score spot, I think that's a really good move.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm letting Drop Leash handle all the DFS stuff because that is his bailiwick. I don't know anything about it all. I'm just happy to put up the question. So anyway, Giants wide receivers. And you were saying, we're talking about Sterling Shepard.
And Sills and James. What do you think about Sills and James in general? Because I don't think anybody thought those guys would have the targets they have the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think the thing with Daniel Jones, I'm actually kind of not surprised because I'm not surprised that Tony's not on the field. And Galladay, hasn't been played, and so someone's got to get the ball. And I know that Daniel Jones always felt comfortable with David Sills, like the previous 2 preseasons. Last year, so he had a very good preseason with Sills. He's throwing the ball to him a lot. And Sills, I think, got injured. I think he like towards ACL or something like that, and he missed the entire. It wasn't just that he didn't make the team. I think he had like a year-ending injury, I believe, when he was looking very good. And James is, I think Daniel Jones likes route runners, and that's a bad. I feel bad for Galladay, but I don't think he's into the 50-50 guys.
Do you think
That
Galladay
says
gets some
something
real
about
run
Jones.
tonight after
I'd like to
complaining this
see it,
week?
man. You know what? I don't blame him for complaining, and I don't blame either side. I don't blame the coaching staff in this because they've got to listen. They were brought in to make this thing to right this ship, and you got to do whatever you think is right. And from everything I've read and everything I've heard, all the content creators that I've listened to and beat reporters, I haven't heard anything about Galladay being a jerk
Yeah.
this summer or anything like that, or being argumentative, nothing like that at all. But I think there's been some questions about his how much effort he's given. I'm unsure as to how much to read into that. To be honest, like people see like lack of effort in some plays, and sometimes I'm uncertain as to really if it is lack of effort. But I don't blame him because he has had a history of being productive in Detroit, and that was he had 2 seasons over 1,000 yards back to back. And I think, listen, I don't blame them if they wanted to keep him. If they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't want to play him like the first few weeks. But I think you got to play the guy. Yeah, like I do want to see him out there. I want the best playmakers out there when they're healthy, and because I think they give you the best chance to win. And if that's a Daniel Jones problem, like he doesn't feel comfortable throwing to like a 50-50 guy or whatever it is, then we know even more about Daniel Jones, which is not good. But you got like if when Tony, people were complaining about Tony too, meaning that they want to see Tony on the field like games 1 and 2. And my thing was that this dude didn't practice this summer because I mean he was there, but he wasn't on the field practicing, because of injury. So yeah, you can know the book inside and out, but you got to be able to run the routes on the field too.
Yeah,
And so
I'm disappointed with Tony that he hasn't. He
I think he's just fragile, man.
Some great flashes last year, and I was really excited. Yeah. And I'm hoping, in the same way, I can't wait to see Wan'Dale Robinson. For Galladay, I kind of feel like he's been so unproductive last year, this year so far, and this was the first time, at least in public, that he really, and I'll get to that in a second, that he really, complained in public for the first time. I kind of feel like this is the week. If Dable's going to give him a shot, it's going to be tonight. If he doesn't produce and or get the targets tonight, I'm not sure how it ever comes back again for him here.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I feel like something's going to happen with Galladay tonight too. That he's going to play and then he's going to get his opportunities. And I think the guy can produce. I mean, I got to see more of him before I like totally give up on Kenny Galladay. I really do, But my feeling is that hey, man, you're keeping him off the field for whatever reason. I'm totally cool with that. I love this coaching staff. And I'm behind them the decisions they got to make. But at some point, I want to see Galladay out there too. I really do. And you want me to bring up GJ's?
Yeah, real quick. I think I see it in the comments, but I can't see the whole thing.
Okay, here we go.
There we go. Yeah, Lamb. To me, that's I like that a lot. So now you got really both running backs. You got Lamb in your captain spot. The guy's got 22 targets through 2 weeks, and the Giants never replaced Bradbury.
So than that.
No, right? You got a quarterback in there, which even though we don't love either of these quarterbacks right off the bat are going to get you a little more points in most cases than your other position. And you get the Dallas D, which I'm playing, even, I'm rooting against them in heart, but yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I picked up Dallas's D on 2 of my fantasy teams.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, hey, and they got the best defensive player on the field as of right now, anyways, and that counts for something too.
Yep. And DJ also said, Ferguson lineup too.
And the Ferguson thing's a flyer, right? He didn't get a target last week, and he played half the snaps. However, we're not looking for 150 yards and 10 receptions from this guy. We're looking for like 3 catches, 30 yards, and maybe he crosses the end zone, and then you got a real winner there for the night at $200.
Yeah, you're looking for the value, I assume, right?
Yes.
You're paying less for him, but you're looking at a team like Dallas that loves to use their tight ends.
Yeah, and then you get to play Lamb and Barkley and all those other guys because you play Ferguson. But we're at it. What do you think? Can I ask for? I'm not a prediction guy, Certainly
I'm
my
not a
sports betting open bets would really tell you I'm not a prediction guy, but
I'm not
what
a
do you think?
you know what? I'm not a prediction guy, but I did give a prediction the other day on one of my content creators I follow on Giants content creators, and I gave a prediction actually of 20-13 Dallas.
Yeah.
What do you think? I got the Giants offense, and this is the best defense they're going against so far this year. And I do think the Giants have it in them to be a very good offense, but I also got to see it before I believe it. In this week against this defense scares me. I'll feel much better next week if they put up 35 points against the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say 2016 Cowboys. I think the Giants they're going to move the ball, but they're going to get stuck in the red zone.
Mhm.
One other thing to think about too, they haven't played a relevant Monday night football game
Mhm.
in so long. How do we know? How's Daniel Jones' sentiment right now? What are his emotions like? I mean, he's going to walk through
Yeah.
that tunnel
0-7.
Monday night. He's 2-0.
Mhm.
This is a big deal. All eyes are on
Yeah.
him tonight.
He's 0-7. I don't
Yeah.
know about Monday. Well, not Monday night, but I
Prime
don't.
time.
I know primetime games is 0-7. And there have definitely been primetime games that they should have won. I mean, I can recall off the top of my head, and they wound up finding a way to lose.
It's like the Kirk
So
Cousins. That's like Kirk Cousins. He can't win a prime time
yeah, I
national game.
remember that. Yeah, is he still that way? I remember.
Yeah,
I
they just
remember that when he
lost to
was on
Philly last
Washington.
week,
I
Sunday night
remember
or
that
Monday night.
that was a knock against him when he was on Washington. Jalen
It,
Tolbert playing thoughts. Is he
that's
playing? I don't know.
he's confirming that he's active and playing, I
Thanks,
believe,
DJ.
is what he's doing.
Yeah.
I drafted Tolbert a little bit and I got really
I
Tolbert.
like Tolbert
He is
as
active.
a prospect. I like him.
Me too, but I hated the healthy deactive, he was a healthy scratch, I believe. For the first two games.
Yeah.
So you know what? And here's another injury thing. Gallup's not playing. So Michael
Really?
Gallup, and I'm only looking away because I'm looking at this news right now. Yeah, Michael Gallup is not playing. So that
Oh,
being said, and I'll
wow.
go back to
Okay.
DJ Shane. Tolbert's 1,500. You could almost upgrade Ferguson to Tolbert, but I don't know. You got Noah Brown and CeeDee Lamb. I
We
guess
didn't touch
Tolbert.
Noah Brown either. I
Yeah,
like Noah
and he's
Brown.
looked really good the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
I know we're against it now time-wise. I'm not sure what to expect from Tolbert, but I do think it sounds like he's number 3 on their depth chart at wideout tonight.
Wow. Well, so yeah, so I guess Noah Brown would be 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And
now
I like
Tolbert moves up
Noah
with Gallup.
Brown. Noah Brown has been a nice addition, man.
Yes.
I'll tell you, when they have the full complement of when they have Gallup back there, Noah Brown is your third. They're looking good. Like I said, I don't, we're still waiting for CeeDee Lamb to step up and prove that he's a real wide receiver one. He hasn't done it yet, but he could still do it. He has the talent to possibly do it. But even then, even if he's not, even if he's just a really good wide receiver, you're looking at him and Gallup and Noah Brown the first 2 weeks. I've been really impressed with the guy. He looks like he belongs, man. He really does.
Yeah,
And Jalen Tolbert, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm with you 100% on Brown. He's had what did I just see? It was like 14 targets the first 2 weeks, 12. I mean, he's been legit
Yeah,
for
like
them.
65 yards, like
Yeah.
good workman-like stuff.
Yep.
But I like Nino. Nino, I do like. I like Tolbert coming out of college. I thought he was a really nice mid-round pick. I think 4th-round pick, if I recall, by Dallas. I like that pick, and this year I don't know what to expect from him, but I think he's going to have a good career. And Nino's saying Cooper Rush over under 45 rush yards.
Oh, God. See, I'll tell you right now, Noah Brown, the props for the Giants secondary is not good. It hasn't been exposed yet because they haven't played a good passing team yet. And I guess we're not necessarily playing a great passing team tonight either because of their injuries and stuff. But the Giants secondary is going to kill them by the end of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think Martindale's been doing a great job of partly scheming, around their issues in the secondary.
Yeah.
But it's also it's the talent they faced so far. Tennessee was very one dimensional. Carolina had Baker Mayfield, and not the best weapons outside of McCaffrey. Let's be honest. I mean, DJ Moore's pretty good, but I'll take Dallas's offense any day of the week over those other two offenses. Even with Cooper Rush, and I don't even know anything about Cooper Rush. But all I know is that he has been throwing interceptions. So
Let's do this, my friend. It's 8:13.
That's hard. We gotta call quits. Hey, do you want to real quick? Do you want to go over that? Let me bring it up real quick, Matt. And go through this real quick.
Yeah. So my second lineup, Barkley to get the points in the captain spot, and then
you have Lamb. Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, that was the first one. Yeah.
Go for it.
We got Barkley, we got Pollard to, Elliott in one, Pollard the other, CeeDee Lamb in both. Daniel Jones, we're going to take a shot. We're looking for a rushing touchdown there. We're doing the 200 Ferguson, and we're going Maurer, the Cowboy kicker after the big game he had the other week. Let's go Giants. Big Blue.
I love it. Let's go Giants. I just pray to God that Micah Parsons doesn't cave in Daniel Jones's head. And Daniel, slide, Daniel. Please, for the love of God, slide.
Let's do this. Let's do it. I can't wait. Let's go Giants.
All right, guys, let's go Giants. Cowboys fans, good luck out there. Not too much good luck, but good luck. Guys, call it a night. Enjoy the game. Drop the leash. It was a pleasure, man. Let's do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye.